Hello and good afternoon everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. In today's video, I wanted to cover an awesome indicator that I think most people need to be keeping on their radar inside of this next Bitcoin bull run, and that is the stock to flow model introduced into cryptocurrency by Plan B. This is actually the exact indicator that I'm using to base around my Bitcoin investments for the long term, and I think that it's something that I haven't covered on this channel yet and would be very informative for you guys that maybe do not understand exactly what that is. On top of that, I'm going to be covering 3 of my favorite long-term cryptocurrencies that I think are the safest bet to put your money in for the long term over this next cycle. Before we jump into this video, I actually wanted to talk to you guys about something that I'm working on and is in the process of building right now, and that is a video course. Since my time being in cryptocurrency for over 3.5 years, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I was actually fortunate to get in at the time that I did, right before 2017, before the markets blew up. Now, because of that, I was able to take a lot of my profits that I made, and I was able to reinvest them back into myself. I've spent thousands of dollars worth of trading courses, as well as hiring mentors to help teach me and educate me on all of the fundamental principles behind technical analysis, and that's why I wanted to create a trading course for you guys. In this course, it's going to cover every single one of my trading strategies, and it's going to go in depth with all of the strategies that I use in order to profit inside of cryptocurrency. This is going to be for investment purposes, but I'm also going to be diving in and teaching you guys how to trade based off of day trading purposes as well. So it's going to be an all-around great course to get into if you're somebody that's new and trying to understand how to invest for themselves, or you're somebody that even wants to start day trading. All of these investment rules and principles are going to apply to you, and so it's going to be a very good opportunity for you guys to get some extra education for a good price. So if this is something you guys are interested in, make sure you leave a comment, message me on Discord, make sure you get the word out if that's something that you guys would be interested in getting, because I'm actually working on it and it will be released very soon. With all that being said, guys, thank you all so much for the support. If you're new and just finding this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you don't miss any more updates like the one provided for you here. If you're somebody that's looking to join my Discord server and follow a community that you can trust, click the invitation link in the description, and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. All right, guys, let's jump right in the video today. So to start things off, I'm briefly going to touch up on Bitcoin before we actually look at the stock to flow model. Now with Bitcoin, not much has changed. Really, we're just kind of consolidating right below the breakout of support. And so now I think that it's more likely than not we could see a short-term bounce, but I don't actually think that that's going to be very long-lived. Kind of what I'm seeing right now is we've chopped and kind of bounced and consolidated right below this breakout. But the current price action is not looking extremely bullish to me, and it's actually looking like we're actually going to sell off for another leg lower. Now, after this leg lower, I am expecting a short-term bounce, but really, guys, the thing that you should be watching out for is there's really no reason to be bullish until we can break out of this descending resistance. And so that's really what I've been watching for the entirety of this bear trend. And so once we actually break out of this descending resistance, that's going to be your go-to to buy. At the time, I thought that we potentially broke out of it right here, but we continued to sell lower instead of impulsing from that move. And so that made me rethink my trading plan, and we were still actually trending below this descending resistance. And so really what I'm watching for is my next 3 targets at 6,300, 5,800, and then 5,300. That's where I'm going to be looking to accumulate Bitcoin on this inevitable dip that I am expecting to come back down to the 6K support floor. And so this is just what I wanted to update you guys with Bitcoin. Overall, not much has changed. It's not looking like we're getting much of a reaction after this breakdown, so I think that we could see another little drop short term before we do get a bounce back up. Now, it's hard to say exactly where that's going to take us. My guess is it's going to take us close to this resistance. Maybe we could bounce back up to 78, but that would probably be the highest that I would expect us to go. And if we actually sell off for one more leg, the highest that I would expect to go from there would probably be about 7,400, right? And so this is my updated analysis with Bitcoin. Not much has changed. I just want to talk about some things. Now, next, we're actually going to be looking at the Bitcoin stock to flow model. And this was actually introduced by Plan B, or at 100 trillion USD on Twitter. And honestly, guys, this is probably the best indicator that you're ever going to be able to use inside of Bitcoin. So if you haven't followed this guy, make sure you go and do that right now, because honestly, this is the best model I've seen inside of cryptocurrency, because Bitcoin's price since the inception has followed this gray line here to a 95% accuracy. And it's actually a really accurate model. What other indicator out there have you guys found that follows Bitcoin's price since the very beginning at a 95% accuracy? There isn't one. And this one isn't really meant to be an exact price. It kind of just shows you the linear trend of Bitcoin based off of Bitcoin's stock to flow. Now, the cool thing about Bitcoin is it's just a mathematical sequence, and that's really how it was created. And the cool thing about that is since we know the mathematical sequence that's programmed inside of Bitcoin, we can actually take those guidelines and implement them into a stock to flow model chart. And that's exactly what Plan B did. Now, because we can take the mathematics of Bitcoin and apply it to mathematics on a graph, it follows these mathematics to a 95% accuracy. And that's just honestly the best you're going to find anywhere. Now, the cool thing about this chart is it shows you the cycles and it shows you on a color scale. Now, there's a lot of different Bitcoin stock to flow models that he'll have drawn, and they highlight different points of Bitcoin cycle, but this is the one that I wanted to share with you guys because I feel like this is my favorite one. Now, what we see here is we have these different colors, right? And we can see at the peaks of Bitcoin cycle is when it's red, and that is kind of like saying that the market is extremely overbought. And whenever the market starts to turn red, that's usually at the point in which the market tops out. Now, we can have prolonged periods of these different colors, and we can have shorter periods of these colors. And it really just depends on what the chart of Bitcoin is doing based off of price. Now, the interesting thing about this is this actually shows Bitcoin going to $100,000 right before 2021. And it should peak around the middle of 2020 to 2021, right around that time. Now, not only is this interesting from that perspective, but in the time of 2024, over the next 6 years, that actually shows Bitcoin going upwards of $1 million. And this is all programmed based off of the supply and the demand. Not only that, but based off of how many Bitcoins are in the circulating supply and all of the different factors that go into being what Bitcoin is. And it can all be graphed on this linear trend, which continues to follow it almost identically. Now, the interesting thing about this is we have these color schemes, and this is actually the other part of the Bitcoin stock to flow model. We can see in times of overbought, we have extreme euphoria, and that's when the market's actually going to turn red. And then once we start dropping back down to a happy medium, that's when it starts to turn yellow, a little bit more interest. And what you want to see during times of accumulation is you want to be accumulating down here in the darker colors. Blue, turquoise, green, right around that time is when you actually want to be accumulating Bitcoin. And you actually want to be scaling out of Bitcoin in the yellow, orange, and red because that's showing it when it's overbought, and the blue and the darker colors are showing it when it's oversold. And this is the way that the cycles have worked. We can see by taking a look at the last cycle, we had a massive peak well above and beyond the stock to flow model, and then we ended up selling off, and that's why we saw the red right here. Now, once we actually get closer back down to this gray line, we start to see yellow, and then it starts to dip back even lower. Once we actually cross below that trend, that's the best time to be accumulating, and that's when you actually see these darker colors, the greens, the blues, and then the aquamarine, or I guess turquoise what it would be. And that's when you want to be accumulating. And then we can see the trend flips again. We start to get on the opposite end of the approach, start to get some more greens, some yellows. And this trend was actually a little bit different. Now, the interesting thing about this is we trended from the top of the bear market down to the point in which we broke all-time high. That was about 3 years. And so this was a long accumulation, whereas the previous cycles and the one that we're currently in have behaved much differently. We can see that we didn't accumulate in the blue for much long. In fact, we bounced back out and we were into the green and the yellow almost just as fast as we were down here. And so we can see that it changes and that no cycle is ever going to behave exactly the same, but it is a good indicator to use to kind of see where we're at in the cycle, whether it's a good time to buy, whether we should be selling. And so it's really interesting to me how Bitcoin actually follows this graph so identically, and that's actually my biggest reason for sharing it with you guys today, is because this is actually how I'm structuring my Bitcoin investments. Now, you guys should understand something. I trade altcoins to accumulate more Bitcoin in the long term because I can't trust in the longevity of most of these altcoins. Now, yes, maybe some of the top 10 market cap coins like XRP, like Ethereum, the ones that have stayed the course of the bear markets, sure, maybe those ones will see extreme institutional adoption. But for the most part, Bitcoin is really the best one that I think you guys can go for, because I don't see any of these other cryptocurrencies flipping Bitcoin. I just don't find that likely in the slightest. Bitcoin was the first. It's the biggest. It's going to probably be the one that holds the longevity of the trend, because all of these cryptocurrencies derive most of their value from Bitcoin and Bitcoin cycles. They pump because Bitcoin goes up. You know, these other cryptocurrencies wouldn't be here without Bitcoin, and we can see how that's charted. We can see that when Bitcoin price starts to take off, the altcoins follow suit, and that's just the way it works. They're always following Bitcoin. So my biggest goal by trading altcoins is to accumulate more Bitcoin in the long term, because Bitcoin is a no-brainer, guys. I mean, if we continue to follow this trend to a 95% accuracy, which we have, we're going to be seeing Bitcoin at $100,000 a year from now, and we're going to see Bitcoin at $1 million by 2024. And so this is really interesting to me. It's a no-brainer for me that I'm going to continue to structure my trading plan by accumulating more Bitcoin off of the altcoins. Now, I'm not saying that I won't sell. I'm not saying that I'm only going to hold Bitcoin, because there is probably going to be a few altcoins that I'll continue to hold throughout the duration of Bitcoin's cycles. But for the most part, I'm much more focused on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the driver of value. So I start every one of my videos off with a Bitcoin update. It's because it's what's actually giving all of the value to the cryptocurrency market. And obviously, guys, that can change, and I expect it to change. Once more institutional adoption starts to take place inside of the market, that's when we're going to start seeing a separation between Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins, because it's going to be a different sort of ball game at that point. And so I just wanted to talk to you guys about this Bitcoin stock to flow model. If you haven't, make sure you go check out Plan B on Twitter. Here is his Twitter handle, so go check him out. Next, we're actually going to be diving into my favorite 3 long-term altcoin bags that I think are the safest bet moving into this next cycle. First up on the list is going to be a no-brainer, and that is XRP. Now, all 3 of these coins are behaving on a different sort of cycle, and that's why I wanted to cover all 3 of these. Now, XRP, I don't need to go into a ton of analysis because I've talked about this a lot over the last couple of videos, but you guys can see based off of this chart, we're repeating the same fractal, right? This was the last bear market and market cycle that we had back in 2014 to 2015. It actually went all the way to 2017, correct me. But this is the same cycle that we're playing right now. We can see we have parabolic runs. When we top out, we start a new bear trend. We reject off of this bear trend multiple times. Finally, price breaks out of this bear trend, and that really is what starts the new cycle. We break out, the trend has changed, we come back down to retest this as support, and then we start the new impulse. So we impulse, we top out, we start the next bear trend, we reject off of this descending resistance, price breaks out, we come back down for one more low to retest that as support, and then we start the new bull cycle. And so I don't need to go into a ton of analysis with this. All I'm sharing with you guys is I think that this is one of the safer bets that you're going to be able to actually invest in moving forward because of the market cycle symmetry. Now, a lot of people will try and say that XRP is manipulated and you can't chart a manipulated coin. But guys, this is literally the exact same cycle repeated. What can you not chart about this? I mean, what is it that looks so impossible for it to play out again? Absolutely nothing. It's going to repeat this cycle. I'm very confident in that, and that's why I've put so much money inside of investing into XRP. And so you guys can think your own hypothesis. You guys can have your own theories or whatever it might be. At the end of the day, I'm buying XRP. I'm accumulating this, and I have been accumulating this since 30 cents. I think I have an average entry at this point of about 24 cents. So I'm a little bit of a loss, but I still have many more buy orders to get filled in this support cluster. We'll see if I'll actually get filled. I ended up pulling the trigger at 21 cents when I saw us retracing right here. I still expect us to go back down to my target of 20 cents. We did technically hit 20 cents on some exchanges, but the exchange I was using, we did not. So I ended up just buying some at 21 cents just to have some extra XRP. When I see coins dumping, I can't help but just start buying them. That's just the way I am. I've been able to trade these cycles in years past, and I've made a lot of money doing so. And so I'm not shaken out by all of this fear. I'm going to continue to hold XRP for the next 2 years. Next up is actually going to be Ethereum. I don't think you guys can really go wrong holding Ethereum, because if you've ever taken a look at the altcoin market cap, the chart of altcoins, basically all of the data we have of altcoins, all of the price data is accumulated on this chart, and it follows more closely to Ethereum than any other cryptocurrency out there. And Ethereum was really the driver of the altcoins in the last cycle. And so I think for this next cycle, this is going to be your safest bet to go to would be Ethereum. XRP is another one. But Ethereum is a no-brainer for me because we have all of this new volume that's came in from this initial leg up. Even though we've retraced really far, I'm still expecting this one to have a very impulsive cycle. And the fact that it's still so cheap, I mean, guys, under a $200 Ethereum is an absolute steal. I mean, even if you're short-term in a loss right now, because I actually accumulated some up here at about 180 bucks, and I'm technically at a loss right now, and I'm not worried in the slightest. I'm just going to continue to add to my bags because we're not going to see an opportunity like this. I remember wishing that I would have bought more Ethereum back here at 150 bucks back in the last cycle, and so I'm not going to make the same mistake again. I mean, all-time high was about $1,450, and so for every $150 Ethereum you can accumulate, you can look forward down the line of seeing that backups of $1,450. And so this is a cycle that I expect to perform very well. I honestly like the fundamental use case for Ethereum being smart contracts and a platform for decentralized applications. It's a no-brainer for big business to start adopting this, and I think that this is going to be really the first altcoin to see major institutional adoption, aside from maybe XRP, aside from maybe even Litecoin and EOS. Some of those other coins, I think that those are going to be the best case. I actually saw a demographic that explained which cryptocurrencies have the most institutional adoption, and Ethereum was number one on the altcoins. XRP was close behind, and then it was like Litecoin, and then it was EOS and some of those other coins. And so for me, no brainer here with Ethereum. It looks just like the typical market cycle graph or the Wall Street cheat sheet. And I'll show that to you guys right now. This is honestly one of my favorite graphs that I ever look at, and you'll probably see me pull this up quite frequently if you follow my YouTube channel. But this is just the Wall Street cheat sheet. Now, this shows you the emotional psychology of a market cycle by human emotions, and so it really looks just the same as Ethereum right now. We have a big pump, we sell off, we almost fully retrace, and then we have our first leg up, and this is where we see all the volume come in. This is really the first leg up before we start that new cycle, and we can see Ethereum's following that perfectly. We have the massive parabolic run, we fully retrace back down, we have our first leg up, and this is disbelief. We can see all of the new volume that came in here because smart money's actively accumulating. Smart money's always going to be actively accumulating when everything is very low, and that's actually what starts the retail FOMO, because all this volume is breaking out. We're going to start, because volume precedes price, right? We see all of this volume breaking out. We don't see a very big rise up in price, but smart money is accumulating right now. And eventually what's going to happen is price is going to catch up to all of this volume, and that's what's really going to drive all of the retail FOMO to come in and start pumping our bags, and we're going to be making all of that money while everybody else is losing. So it's savage inside of markets, but we're all making money. Or if you're following me and following my analysis and following solid analysis of your own, you're going to be profiting. So that's my big reason for liking Ethereum moving forward. Last up on the list is going to be Binance Coin. Now, Binance Coin to me is a no-brainer because all it really is like looking at the stock of the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. Not only that, but they've already branched out to the US customer base. And so the fact that there was such a big argument around Binance Coin, whether it was a security, whether it wasn't, is the US government going to ban Binance Coin? I think that it's pretty obvious that that is just a hoax at this point because they've already opened a US exchange, and they wouldn't have done so if the government was going to just ban Binance Coin. And so I think that this one's a no-brainer to hold because really I just look at Binance Coin as kind of like their stock value. If you're buying Binance Coin, you're kind of buying stock inside of Binance. And so I think that this one's going to be a very profitable cycle moving forward, and it's honestly going to lead the cryptocurrency market for the altcoins. And I think that this one has a real potential of being kind of like what Ethereum was back in 2017. And so it's for that reason I'm actually going to be a big time buyer of Binance Coin. Now, I'm not necessarily buying where we're at right now. I'm going to be taking my first bids at $10. So about right here. That's where I'm going to be looking to average into a position, 10 bucks. And if Bitcoin actually drops back down to the 6K support floor, I think it's a no-brainer that we'll see $10 inside of this coin. And so that's my biggest reason for buying this right now. I think that this one has a little bit of a different cycle compared to XRP, compared to Ethereum, whereas Ethereum is showing just the typical emotional psychology of a market cycle. XRP is just repeating the same market cycle fractal. And so those are really the two differences between Ethereum, between XRP. And the difference between Binance Coin is this just looks like an early market cycle. Now, if you guys don't understand Elliott waves, I do actually map out Elliott waves because it helps me to kind of see where we're at in the cycle. And we can see based off of Elliott wave theory, we had our 1 wave, we had our 3 wave, and then we had our 5 wave, right? That just completes a 1 wave. And if I come in here and show you guys how Elliott wave theory works for you guys that do not understand, a lot of people talk shit on Elliott wave theory, and that's fine. Everybody talks shit on everything that they don't understand, and it really doesn't matter. I like to use these because it helps me to kind of map out where we're at in the cycle, like I just said. Now we can see the Elliott wave theory behaves in 3 sets of impulse waves. We have the 1, the 2. So on the odd numbers, it's the impulse, and on the even numbers, it's the retrace. So we have the 1, retrace into the 2, the 3, retrace into the 4, and then the 5. And then that starts the big picture retrace, right? Now, this is just the 1 wave. Based off of Elliott wave theory, Binance Coin has only finished a 1 wave. And if I map this out, I'll show you guys what I mean. This whole thing is a 1. And let's actually make it a little bit bigger and easier to see. This whole move was just a 1 wave. And now what's coming next is the most parabolic of the waves, and that's the 3 wave. And kind of the way the Elliott wave theory works is the 1 wave is really where smart money buys. That's where all the smart money accumulates. And then what happens next is the most impulsive wave, because this is where retail FOMO starts to actually pick up on this trend. But they're really just FOMOing all of smart money's bags at this point. And so the 3 wave is going to be very parabolic. To be quite honest, guys, I actually think that we could see Binance Coin valued at about $1,000. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see that in the slightest. The way that Ethereum went so parabolic in the last cycle, I think that we could very easily see the same thing inside of Binance Coin, because this is just an early day market cycle. Binance Coin was the best performing altcoin inside of the bear market out of all of the majors. And so it's for that reason that I'm putting a ton of faith and trust inside of this coin moving forward, and I'm actually going to be accumulating a lot of it, because guys, this is the 1 wave. This is just the 1 wave. We can see we had 1, 3, 5, and that completed the 1. And if I drop it in here, 1, 3, 5, and that completed the 1. So what's coming next is the biggest impulse into the 3. And we're still going to have a 3 and a 5 in this next cycle. And that's basically what happened with Ethereum back in the day. I mean, with Ethereum back in the early days, this is actually when I got into Ethereum. I bought my first Ethereum at about $8, so almost the exact bottom. Unfortunately, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't hold it for the majority of that trend like a dumbass. But everybody makes mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys all of these lies in which I bought Ethereum at the very bottom and held it and sold it right at the very peak, because I didn't. I bought it at $8 and ended up selling it at like 10. So I didn't even make that much money off of Ethereum. I made more money off of Ethereum in the final 5 wave impulse from about $300 to $1,400 than I did in the actual parabolic run that made everybody the most money. And so this is kind of what it reminds me of. This was the 1 wave inside of Ethereum. We had our 1 wave impulse, and then that's what really led the way before we had the 3 wave. And this is what I'm talking about with Binance Coin, guys. The 3 wave is the most impulsive one. We'll have a 3 wave, and then we'll have a final 5 wave. And that'll really end the first cycle inside of Binance Coin before we have another prolonged bear market. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about Binance Coin because I feel like this is just a really early market cycle. It's going to be one of the better ones that you can invest in moving forward, because Binance Coin is just tied to the value of Binance itself, which is the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, and they're branching out to US customers. No brainer in my opinion, which is why I'm buying all of these coins. Anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. If you found this video helpful, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more updates. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any more content like the one provided for you here. If you're looking for a community, make sure you click the invitation link in the description of this video, and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. Remember, guys, I'm working on a video course, and so if this is something that interests you, you guys want to learn my personal techniques and skills in which I've accumulated over 3.5 years of investing inside of cryptocurrency, make sure you let me know in the comment section, either on Discord, or you can even email me. I have all of my contact information in the description of this video, so you're going to be able to do all of it through there. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.